Hi, my name's Lisa and welcome to my channel. Come on in, take a seat and make yourself comfortable. In today's video, I will be talking about some of the new fragrances that I've added to my collection. And there's one fragrance that I've thrown in last minute because it's just recently arrived and I wanted to quickly talk about that one. It's not a first impression as such, but I've only smelt it the once, but I want to include it today very quickly. The rest will be more in depth, so let's get started, shall we? So the first fragrance is this here. Isn't this lovely? And this is Carolina Herrera, Very Good Girl, and it's the tomato red bottle with the gold stiletto heel. So on the back is where you press, and at the front is where you spray. So let's spray this fragrance. Oh, before we do, let's find out what the notes are. Okay, so give this a spray. 2 will do. Yeah, this is a lychee red currant in the top, I think. Yeah, and the lychee's bright, very bright in the opening. And although this has a lychee note, and usually you find lychee in kind of holiday fragrances, or it gives you vacation vibes. This doesn't. No, not in this fragrance. Instead, I think it's actually a little bit more wearable than that. So that's in the opening, and that lychee note continues throughout the duration of the fragrance. Yeah. This is rose in the middle, I believe. I think there's lily, and in the base there is vanilla. It could even be vanilla bourbon. Bear with me, I'm just going off the top of my head. And I think there's vetiver. Yeah, definitely. Now, it's relatively new to me. I've only worn it once. And without going into too much detail, because it's not an in-depth review, this, because it's new. And as I say, I've worn it once. But I want to sum up the fragrance. This is Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Like the, remember the song by Cyndi Lauper? It is. This is Girls Just Want to Have Fun. This is a night out or a day out with the girls. This is it. You're either painting the town or dancing the night away, or just being surrounded by your besties. That's what this fragrance kind of impression it gives me. It's fun and it's playful, it's fearless, and it's carefree. It's kind of a carefree scent. And the person who wears this doesn't take themselves too seriously. I actually enjoy it. It's not what I expected, I have to be honest with you, but it's fun. And would I wear it maybe if I was a little younger and I went dancing, I went to the clubs and the bars, I probably would enjoy this. But again, I'm not saying it's a nightclub fragrance, because I don't think it is. I think it is about girls just being around other girls, ladies being around other ladies, and we're just out to have a bit of fun. And we don't care if the men turn up or not. It's that kind of fragrance. I can't tell you about longevity too much, because I wore it for about 3.5 to 4 hours, and then I went into the shower. But it lasted for that length of time. I'll come back later and give you a more in-depth review on this fragrance. But again, I enjoyed it. Do I love it? I wouldn't say I do. My husband bought me it for a gift and he loves it. He thinks it smells gorgeous and I like it. But I think because it has that kind of, how can I explain this? It has this vetiver note, just it's just detectable, but I'm not a fan. I wished it was softer in the base, and that vanilla was stronger. But that's just personal preference. But I can see people really enjoying this fragrance because there's nothing in it that would annoy you as such. Only the vetiver for me. I don't particularly like that note, but it's not, luckily, it's not too strong. It's just me being picky, you know. I shouldn't really be so picky. As I say, this is a girls just want to have fun fragrance, and test it out in the shops. You might love it. I like it. It's not a love, but I'll always be honest with my reviews. And that's Carolina Herrera, very good girl. Oh, and by the way, I will wear it. It's not going to be just wasted. I will wear it because I like it. But at my time of life and the perfumes that I acquire is quite numerous. Sometimes perfumes really have to stand out for the right reasons and have to be the right price point or that good. I don't care what the price point is. And for me, it's an expensive fragrance. I'll put the prices always on the screen. It's expensive for me to pull out for 100ml bottle. I don't think this is 100ml. No, I only got the 50. Well, it was a gift. I have to say it was a gift. 50ml, and I do enjoy it. It just doesn't speak to me. It's not who I am. I'm not the party girl. I'm not the girl who's always out with her friends. Kind of bit of a homebird, pretty boring. So maybe it's because I'm dull that I don't like this as much as I would have liked. But yeah, give it a try. See what you think. What do you think of the fragrance? You might absolutely love this. And I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying I'll wear it, but it doesn't represent me as much as some other fragrances that I own. Okay, on to the next. Spoken enough. So this fragrance here, I'm not even going to begin to pronounce what the make is or how, but I think it's called Hapa Sahafi. And it's in a very weighty gold bottle, quite beautiful in my opinion, and very reasonable. And as always, I'll put the price of the bottle on the screen for the full size. And I've just recently received it and I don't know the notes, but once I give it a spray, I thought I'm going to put this in this video because I have to. So basically this, I'll give it a spray. As I say, I haven't looked at the notes, but I don't need to really, because you will find, yeah. Okay, so you've heard me talk about a fragrance. One of my favorite fragrances, a rose fragrance anyway, is Roses Vanille by Mancera, and this is, I'm not saying it's a dupe, but it's so close. And Roses Vanille it has like a Turkish delight with rose, and there's lots of sugar and vanilla and a touch of white musk, and it's so close. Now in the opening, don't spray it and sniff it straight away, just let it hang for 5 seconds, because there's a metallic kind of alcohol note in the first couple of seconds. But after that, it's rose, Turkish delight, and lots of sugar. I don't believe it's as refined as Mancera's Roses Vanille, and possibly not as warm, because there's a warmth to Roses Vanille. But it's so close, and probably to the person who hasn't got both, they probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And to be fair, I sprayed Roses Vanille and this particular fragrance on each wrist, and my daughter couldn't tell the difference. She thought it was the same fragrance, would you believe? And The price, I'll put it on the screen, full-size bottle, very reasonable. Now, Mancera Roses Vanille isn't, although it's not a kind of designer fragrance as such, and usually when they're not, they have a high price point. But I think that designer fragrances are going up in price. I don't know if you've noticed, but they're skyrocketing. And so if you're going to pay 80 to £100 for a perfume, have a look at some of these more unique fragrances that are on the market, and at least give them a sample. And so I think I would always have my Roses Vanille because I love the depth of it. But if you are wanting to try Roses Vanille and don't want to pull out the full value, grab yourself a bottle. It's very, very good and very, very nice, and I'm impressed. I can't tell you about longevity. With the original Mancera, you're talking 12 hours. But with this, you know, I think it lasts you a good 4 to 5. You know, based on my initial thoughts. Obviously, I'll come back and give you my full in-depth review of it. But I think it would work perfectly in the winter months and transitional from summer into autumn or winter into spring. And that's the Hapa Sahafi. Yeah, give it a try. On to the next. Okay, let's talk about this fragrance here. And this is by Montale, and this is Ristretto Intense Cafe. And it's been on my wish list for quite some time, and I've never really got round to it, even though I've always wanted to. And then at Christmas time, my lovely husband surprised me with it. And before we start talking about it, let's find out what the notes are. Okay, so we're going to give this a spray, and I like this. I like this embellishment that dangles from the cap. I like it, and a lot of people dislike this because it doesn't feel weighty because it's light and like metal. But I actually enjoy it, and I like the fact that because it's metal, no sunlight can get at the fragrance, which to me is a bonus. So let's give this a spray. 2 will do. I'm spraying the stuff all over my mirror, I'm sorry, on my tray. Yeah, this fragrance is not, I repeat, not for the faint-hearted. This is a realistic coffee and rose scent. Let's have a smell. Yeah. The fragrance opens with a bold blast of freshly brewed Italian black coffee and is joined by fragrant Turkish rose water. Yeah, it's strong. If you like realistic coffee fragrances with rose, which personally I think it's a wonderful combination, then you will enjoy this. Yeah, now the scent sweetens and deepens as it settles. It's quite pungent obviously in the opening, and it gets even more so, but it becomes deeper. Yeah, and the rose water that's in the opening begins to become more syrupy. Yeah, syrup-like. Yeah, and as to, because in this fragrance there's vanilla caramel, I believe, in the base. As to does the caramel and vanilla, when it's added to the mix, it gets very deep and syrupy. The fresh brewed coffee becomes kind of deeper as well and slightly nutty. like roasted coffee beans, and there's just ever so slightly in the base a warm undertone of wood, but nothing too woody. It's just balancing everything out. Now, it's very similar to Rose's Vanille. If you were to just add lots of freshly brewed coffee, you know. So basically, this is Rose's Vanille with lots of coffee. And at first, I was thinking, is it for me? But the more I've tried it, the more I've decided yes. I just love that rose, kind of toothachingly sweet sugared rose with vanilla, and the addition of the rich coffee and that touch of caramel gives this a deep syrupy feel. It's for the coffee lover. Black Opium, for example, is a coffee fragrance, but this is just on steroids in comparison, and it's a different kind of feel as well. So yeah, I love it. So it was a lovely gift, and I'm very pleased. On to the next. Okay, so I actually own another Narciso Rodriguez fragrance, and it's the Poudre and Poudre, and I really enjoy it. I love it in the colder months. But I haven't been fond, and I've sampled many of the others from the line. And I was in the store, department store, and I was buying another perfume actually. And I saw this and I gave it a little bit of a sniff, a little bit of test. And I thought, I do actually like that. I'm pleasantly surprised. But it's a plum, predominantly plum and rose fragrance. And if you don't like plum, you may not like this. But yeah, let's give it a spray. And I will give you my thoughts. I've made such a dent in it. I don't know if you can see. I haven't had it that long. Yeah. Look, I'm not a perfume collector. I'm a perfume lover, and I use all my perfumes. This fragrance has had some mixed reviews, let's just say. It's either been a big hit or a massive fail, but I really liked it at first sniff. And for those of you possibly hesitant to sample it just because of the negativity that you've maybe heard from, some people on YouTube or on Fragrantica, for example, I'd still give it a test. You might be pleasantly surprised. So first off, the main thing is, it's not a heavily saturated musk fragrance, like most of the Narciso Rodriguez's fragrances in their line. So that might be a bonus for you. Yeah, this is far more a restrained musk. And I go so far as saying it's more of a white musk. I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying it feels like a white musk, which I find to be a little softer. So on initial spray, I have to admit that it does lean a touch masculine. Yeah, especially as that plum and pepper, I believe, and a little bit of citrus or bergamot in the opening. But give it a minute. You have to be a little bit patient. Yeah, because the sweetness arrives along with the rose and the vanilla. So it gets a touch sweeter when those other notes come into the mix. It's not listed, but I actually detect, as it dries, a soft suede nuance, giving it a little bit of an edge. This isn't, it isn't a unisex fragrance, it isn't. But you know what? It's kind of suited to the tomboy. Yeah, the tomboy in all of us. It could be a date night fragrance, but it would be a date going to the bar or it would be a date going to watch the motor racing. It's got that tomboy-esque feel to it. And I think it's sexy. I really do. It has a sexy edge, but it's more like you're a girl that's pretty cool, you know? You're cool. And you're probably wearing black jeans. Yeah, black jeans, boots, and maybe a suede jacket. You're kind of cool and hip. I really like it. Longevity, not as long as I would have liked, but at the same time, 4 hours for me is good enough. Sometimes any longer than that, it can start to give me a little bit of a headache. So 4 hours, probably a little bit longer on your clothes. Give it a try. I enjoy it, but I do like plum fragrances. That's a little bit of a disclaimer. And what do you think of it? Are you the one that thinks it's a big hit, or are you the one that thinks it's a big fail? And that's Narciso Rodriguez Musc Noir Rose. On to the next and final fragrance. Okay, we're on to the last fragrance that's new to my collection. And this is the new release and this of Lancome, from Lancome. And this is La Nuit Tresor Intense. And it has that wonderful red flower on the side. And before we start, let's just find out what the notes are. Okay, so we're going to give this a spray. Oh, dropped it nearly. Don't drop it. I'll give it a spray. 2 will do. As you may or may not know, this is a cherry prominent fragrance. Let's give this a smell, just to remind me. And I suppose this could be described as just another cherry fragrance. But I feel Lancome have given us more than that. There's damask rose, cherry and almond milk. They're the notes that I found. Whether there's more, I don't know. But that's what I detect anyway. There's a sensual rose which seamlessly intertwines with a succulent black cherry. And both the rose and the cherry find balance and softness, and they're lovingly kind of enrobed in this almond milk found in the base. There's a wonderful kind of aphrodisiac sweetness from the cherry note. I still think it's kept grown up by adding that red rose and that kind of marzipan-like almond in the mix. I think it's lovely. I think it's perfect. Perfectly balanced cherry fragrance. It's not juvenile, it's not fleeting. The cherry stays around. So for me, I can see those who love almond enjoying this. Now, I have to say, I'm not personally a fan of fragrances that have a too nutty feel to them. It's just not for me. But this is just the right amount, not to spoil the other notes. It's just wonderful. It's been kept not to the minimum, because that's wrong, because I can still smell the almond and I'm enjoying it. But it's not too nutty. It's not overboard. It can sometimes be a little bit sickly sweet. This is just a really good, well-balanced winter goodie, and that is Lancome's La Nuit Tresor Intense. I recommend you get a sample. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to me. Any comments you have, please comment below, and remember to hit like, because that really helps small little channels like mine to grow bigger. Thanks for your time.